Under sun and sky, Outlander, we greet you warmly.
Seen any elves?
I think that tavern girl was looking at me. How can I tell her I'm not interested?
Oh, not again.
Filthy sweat.
You risk your neck coming here.
If it bothers you so much, just don't look at it, all right? Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up.
An Imperial prison ship brings us back to Morrowind, previously named Veloth, Resdain, Resdania. It's a nation in the northeast corner of Tamriel, and the home of the Dark Elves, or the Dunmer like they're called. Culturally significant to the Dunmer, the island of Vardenfell was opened to foreigners around 15 years ago or so.
The sooner you leave, the sooner we can move on.
Since then, the Imperial colonies were springing up like mushrooms after the rain. We are a convict. The Empire dumps its convicts in Vardenfell as settlers and laborers. Actually, that's not what's going on at all, but that explanation will do for now.
You were dreaming. What's your name?
My name is Kvenf. The Fool, they call me. I do a bit of this and a bit of that. Formerly a free man from Skyrim, a salesman of genital enlargement potions. This is not the first time I'm here, or the second, but nobody seems to remember Kvenf, and that is very good. Today, we'll be exploring the 2022 fan-made expansion for the Elder Scrolls 3, created by the folks at Tamriel Rebuilt. But, Morrowind is 2 decades old. Why do people still make expansion-sized mods for this ancient game? Why do we still talk about it so much? Here is your quick refresher on the Morrowind theory. It's simple, you see. For as long as there was civilization, humans loved telling each other stories. It's the most ancient of traditions. Over the centuries, we tried a bunch of different mediums until eventually RPGs were invented. RPG is a box of techniques and know-hows. It's a new way of partaking in the old tradition of telling stories. Various creative individuals keep developing different philosophies on how to use the techniques found in the box. For starters, you can tell a conventional story, like the story of Commander Shepard the Spaceman. Spacewoman. The BioWare devs reached into the box and took out a bunch of RPG stuff. Stats, levels, classes, inventory management, dialogue trees, choices and consequences. Makes it a little different each time you play. That's very cool. People loved it, but that's just one approach. A different philosophy would be to take advantage of the interactive nature of the medium and make the player the storyteller, provide them with a set of tools to build a story with. Many classics are designed like this. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, especially 1, the Gothic series, and Geneforge. But this philosophy was truly embraced by the creators of Fallout and Arcanum. Finally, we're talking about genres. One of the genre conventions of these types of games is that they were more grounded than a typical contemporary RPG. The communities we explored were populated by real people with real problems. The Vault Dweller didn't go killing orcs for 100 GP and a +1 sword. Instead, one of the first quests in Fallout 1 had us taking advantage of the things our character learned in a science class, giving Curtis the farmer useful advice on crop rotation. Like Fallout, like Arcanum, Morrowind is also a set of tools for us to tell a story with. The main difference is the depth and nuance of world building. The Fallout technique is about broad strokes. Morrowind is about little details, a feature potentiated by the game's first-person perspective. In this world, you can tell a lot about a character based on what alcohols they keep on the shelf, or what kind of pants they wear, or what books they read, or how they choose to spell certain words. It's the Dune of RPGs. No wonder people fall in love with it. Thankfully, fate was much more merciful to Morrowind than it was to Dune. The events of the Elder Scrolls 3 take place on the sacred island of Vardenfell. Most of the actual body of the Imperial province of Morrowind the game is named after was cut early in the development, and it isn't a part of the game. wasn't a part of the game. For more than 2 decades, fans and enthusiasts have been building it back up. The land on the other side of the channel, that's their work. We should go take a closer look. But how do we cross the water? Another genre convention Morrowind shares with classic Fallout is respect for player agency. It's up to us to figure out how to creatively use the game systems to solve a problem. We can swim, but not for very long, as the waters are full of carnivorous slaughterfish. We can use magic, but that looks similarly unsafe. We can go to a nearby port settlement and find a boat that will take us to the mainland, but I would rather not show my face in Vardenfell ports. Bad history. Or perhaps we should stick to what we're good at. Some of the mushrooms commonly found in the Bitter Coast produce a water walking effect once you combine them using an alchemical apparatus. God damn, I'm out of practice. Can you believe there used to be a time when I didn't even need a potion? I used to be good at this, you know. It'll come back though. The potions will have to do, for now. Tamriel Rebuild has existed since before Morrowind's release, although the members and the philosophy of the project changed a lot over the years. These days, TR is focused on developing big expansion-sized updates released bi-yearly. The 2022 update implemented this geographically diverse region in the western part of the mainland, Roth Rorin, which means south of the river Rorin. I assume this here is the river. Rocks, canyons, hills, a dominion of dust, if you will. Fort Anselus guards the coast of the Inner Sea. The garrison is a mix of legionnaires and Imperial Marines. They keep a lot of expensive high-quality alcohol here. Look at that, an issue of Ebonhard Balsman. Trouble is brewing on the island of Vardenfell, with smuggling, thievery, even killings on the rise. It seems society is going to hell these days. New biome, new alchemical ingredients. Skyrim-style plant collecting is enabled by the mod Graphic Herbalism that's fully compatible with the OpenMW engine I'm using. A mirror image of the town we start the game in. Tain is a small fishing community, notable for housing the Imperial Customs Building.
Why do you approach?
Just admiring your pauldrons. The Dragon Scale set was previously missing parts. They were added by the mod. You are not strong enough for this one, Nord. Brass Claws Miranzij has battled and mounted Senkeracht 7 times your size. The Elder Scrolls games tend to neglect this little bit of lore, but the Khajiit come in several forms. The largest of them, the Senkeracht, resemble giant cats and walk on all fours. They're also intelligent, capable of speech and spellcasting. And don't let Miranzij fool you. Tamriel Rebuild features content for characters of all levels, and a huge chunk of it is accessible for level 1 fresh off the boat Nerevarines. You absolutely do not need to grind levels before playing the mod. Someone tells us a little secret. A local elf woman is hiding a magical ring in her house near the customs office. Engraved Ring of Wounding. This is a reference to a tutorial quest in the starting town. It's like poetry, it rhymes. There is little to do in Tain, but one of the biggest cities in the game, Andothran, is not far. We'll resume our journey in the morning. Bal is Dunmer for stone. Mora is forest, so Balmora would be stone forest. Morrowind players are sentimental about Balmora because in most vanilla playthroughs it'll be the first big town you visit. But if Balmora is so good, how come there is no Balmora 2? Welcome to Andothran, formerly known as Balfoyen, or Stone Falls, a prosperous trade city on the Inner Sea, governed by the great house Hlalu. A very long time ago, this was a place of dark elf victory against an invading Akaviri army of Adasum Dir Kamal, destroyed by the goddess Almalexia of the Tribunal. This depiction makes it seem like she killed them by manipulating the waves, something the tribunes certainly can do, but my personal little theory is that she just nuked them. The city of Andothran was built inside a crater, and in the middle there is the temple.
I will listen, Outlander, but make it quick.
That's a very nice beard. Andothran is about 3 Balmoras in size. This place offers a lot of opportunities for a roaming salesman of genital enlargement potions. Mage's Guild, a place to master magical technology. These days I prefer to operate outside of the formal guild structure, and I'm sure the feeling is mutual. Fighters Guild. Based on my experience, they don't have much of a structure. It's just a place for mercenaries to find employment.
May the wind be on your back.
Fighters Guild chapters tend to work closely with the local authorities, and since the power in Andothran is House Hlalu, whatever, thinking about politics too much is why I got locked up. I just need a job, that's all. An oratorically gifted Nord, Jaskar the Sharp, borrowed a bunch of money and is refusing to pay it back. He is usually seen loitering at the Western Wharf. That's the directions we're given. Time to go get lost and end up finding every single secret in the city except for Jaskar the Sharp.
I really don't have time for this, so make it quick.
A pawnbroker sells some sort of a Dunmer collectible card game. And in the basement, Three Eyes deals with professionals only, he says. That's quite a collection of Dwemer artifacts. These are, of course, illegal. I suspect this character is involved in the Thieves Guild questline. Cat Catcher's Corner Club. What's a cat catcher?
On your way.
I like your style, Heart Rage the Hard. I should have figured it out. Cat catcher, a person who hunts escaped slaves. The bone mold armor is Dunmer's specialty. These exist in numerous variants. The uniforms of the Hlalu guards in Rothroren look like this. An open helmet, a comfy-looking sash. But this is the first time I'm seeing what appears to be a bone mold gas mask. I wonder if it's prevented him from getting high off the fumes in this skooma den. The reason Jaskar the Sharp was hard to find is because he fell in the water and is now below the wharf. Where's the money, Jaskar? No, I'm not going to wait till tomorrow. It was so very considerate of Jaskar to autonomously pre-transport his body to below the wharf. You can't trust anyone in Andothran, except for Kventh the Fool, am I right, boss? We spend a night at an inn and get pickpocketed. The poorest of the poor live in a Dwemer ruin on the edge of the crater.
Do not bother me.
That's the thief. The weapon I'm using is an enchanted tanto that turns into a Daedric dagger on command. An excellent, perhaps even overpowered, starter weapon. The initial few Fighters Guild jobs are very easy, requiring barely any martial training. A local woman wants us to bring back her silver mirror. Someone trained a cliff racer to steal silverware. The quest can end here. Or you can go the extra mile and discover that one of the Hlalu retainers, a Bosmer, happens to have a manual on how to train cliff racers in his apartment. We are expected to complete these jobs in a manner that would be the most beneficial for House Hlalu, who probably don't want to keep a petty thief on the payroll. In any case, it's time for us to undergo indigenization. Yeah, that'll do. For now, until we get one of them gas masks. In an ancient Resdanian dialect, Jubal Orda means he who got tricked into drinking the piss of a guar. The guild jobs will sometimes take us to the countryside. As we move east, the rocky landscape of Rothroren slowly gives way to the beautiful Thur Valley. The plantations offer vast amounts of free ingredients for beginner alchemists. The ash yams have a fortify intelligence effect that is very valuable. One of these guys is the former Fighters Guild member Darvas Dreth, now wanted for murder. The other man, Jubal Orda, is a mercenary hired by Dreth for a job. He says their relationship is strictly professional, and he'll abandon his employer for a share of the bounty money. Fair enough. Jubal would be annoying to fight, cause he has a staff weapon with a paralyze enchantment. Once we finalize the job, he'll show up near the guild, waiting for his share.
May you find all that you seek, traveler.
TR quests have more skill and stat checks in dialogues than in the base game. It's possible to speechcraft him into accepting a smaller share of the bounty, but I didn't bother. Despite being what is essentially just a collection of brown rocks, Rothroren is beautiful in its own way. Minan is a tiny Hlalu town, just barely large enough to warrant a Silt Strider service. The UESP wiki says this place has the most assassinations per capita in Tamriel Rebuilt, as about 1/3 of its population can be killed via quests. The guild sent us here to get rid of the pack of Alits, aggressive animals native to Morrowind, terrorizing the local population. There is a Khajiit scout named Dara who knows where the Alit lair is, says the Hlalu governor. And there is an additional 1,000 Drake reward waiting for us if the annoying Khajiit disappears. The Hlalu might be more cosmopolitan than an average Dark Elf, but they're still Dunmer, so manage your expectations. You do realize they're trying to get you killed, right? Minan is Dara's home. Dara will defend it, says the Khajiit. It would be so very easy to manipulate the naive cat into getting eaten by Alits. Luckily for her, I like the cats more than I like the Hlalu. Fuck the Hlalu. The guildmaster Naras Hardil disagrees. Need I remind you that a client is a client and a job is a job, he says. But they are not the only great house with a presence in Rothrorin. Our next assignment takes us to the town of Bodrum, controlled by House Ridoran. Molsa Evrethi, a Hlalu retainer, was caught selling secrets to their Ridoran rivals. Our patrons asked the guild to take care of her. It's a long journey to Bodrum. We discover all kinds of curious things on the way there. This seems to be an ancient Nord ruin. There are no items of value, but it does make sense to discover something like this here. Geographically, Skyrim is not very far. This cave on the side of the road will hopefully offer a place to rest, free of cliff racers. Inside, there is a seemingly endless corridor that eventually leads to a waterfall. And this being Morrowind, the first thing you do is check behind the waterfall to discover another secret cavern where a Khajiit acrobat made his home. That's a clever place to put an acrobatic skill trainer. A Daedric ruin, ubiquitous anywhere in Tamriel.
Bash.
Father to many, mother to few, certainly a very intriguing name, is the ruin sole resident and a boss of sorts, summoning 4 Clanfears with a scripted spell. I had to use 2 of my Atronak summoning scrolls I stole somewhere. The rewards are worth it though. It is so very strange to see snowy mountains in the Elder Scrolls 3, and yes, we can go there. The economic engine of Bodrum is the quarry. There is also an egg mine nearby. Ridoran is a martial house, which is a quality reflected in their bone mold design. If you never played Morrowind, but these interiors still seem familiar, it's because the Ridoran architecture was featured in the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim. In a surprise twist, our assassination target, Molsa Evrethi, is found on the floor in her room at the inn, dead. A one-eyed elf was seen visiting her, says the innkeep.
May you find all that you seek, traveler.
I seek you, Jubal. Yes, he killed her. No, he is not even a member of the guild. Says he'll go directly to the Hlalu for the money. No, that probably won't work. You know what, Jubal? That thing between us, it's over. You are a prime candidate for my experimental reverse genital enlargement potion. Neras will have to reimburse the gold the Hlalu Lord paid the guild in advance. There are no jobs for an individual of our low rank, so he directs us to a place called Firewatch. The Dunmer word for fire is Molag. We don't know how to say watch or fort, but city would be Fel. Firewatch never had a Dunmer name because it wasn't built by Dark Elves. This is the Telvanni's district, home of the xenophobic and unpredictable sorcerers of the Great House Telvanni. Thus the name. Firewatch is the last sizable imperial settlement in this part of the world. There is nothing but Dunmer further east. In 2022, Tamriel Rebuilt released not 1, but 2 expansions. Embers of Empire was bundled with Dominions of Dust, but its focus was on iterating and improving already implemented areas. That doesn't sound too exciting, but the changes it brought were dramatic. TR existed for more than 2 decades. Naturally, over time, the developers became better at what they do, and some of the older areas are not quite on the same level of quality as the new expansions. Firewatch has been a part of the mod since 26, but the version you are about to see is new. The region is geographically closer to the Red Mountain, so it's occasionally hit by ash storms. Not the best place to be wearing an open helmet. The Firewatch Mages Guild is located inside a classic wizard tower. They have a Scarfin servant, which is a race of Daedra. Some of my best friends are Scarfin. The rune is actually an invisible door. Can't lockpick that. One of the boats in the harbor is a floating inn. This is a furniture shop. No gameplay function, but it's here for world building, I guess. A trader has a rich selection of Colovian hats.
You want something, friend?
And this is the Ember Keep, the imperial fortress dominating the town.
Seen any elves?
Ah yes, the one joke. Duchess Perulia Gendacia is the imperial ruler of the Telvannis district. They say she doesn't really understand the Dunmer, but that might be just dark elf gossip. They do have an inflated sense of how complex their so-called culture actually is.
I think that tavern girl was looking at me. How can I tell her I'm not interested?
Tell her you play World of Tanks. The first Fighters Guild job sends us to negotiate with a supplier of one of the merchants here in Firewatch. We don't even get to beat anyone up. The guild officer is so impressed with our peacenik skills, he gives us a book to read. Tell her about the books you read. The Argonian apothecary Mist Eyes has a problem. An assassin is waiting for him just outside the store. Sally Raz explains that the good doctor was a killer back in Cyrodiil. Fleeing to Morrowind is his way of avoiding punishment. This is a complex side quest, and it can be resolved peacefully. But the stuff Sally Raz is wearing looks like it'll go for a lot. I had to drink half of my potion stockpile. This guy hits like a Dwemer truck. One of the guild's best warriors was sent to eliminate the necromancer inhabiting a nearby Dunmer tomb, but he didn't come back. We have to go find him, or whatever is left of him. Mashug is just fine, actually. He even managed to kill the necromancer. The problem is that he can't get out. The tomb is a trap. As soon as you step away from this platform, the entrance gets blocked by a force field. Teleportation magic doesn't work. Mashug tells us to go back to the guild. Maybe they can figure something out. That would be one solution, but I don't feel like abandoning him. Placing items on the panel doesn't seem to do anything. It's possible to mind control one of the undead creatures in the lab below, but we have no such skills. Once again, we are saved by a creature summoning scroll.
You seem worthy of my knowledge. You may speak.
Thank you. I actually do feel very clever right now.
Under sun and sky, Outlander, we greet you warmly.
The next job takes us to the remote imperial colony of Nivalis on the island of Althoa. We travel by boat. This place is a culture shock. There used to be an over-designed fishing village on the island. It was trimmed down. I'm pretty sure Nivalis was built specifically for the Embers expansion.
I'm a busy guy, so if you could hurry this up.
Manned by Imperial Marines, the Icebreaker Keep is supposed to be the first line of defense against the Akaviri naval invasion from the east. The reason for us being here is very prosaic. Someone is stealing from the local trader. We are to hide in the basement and ambush the thief. Before we move on from Firewatch, there is one final place here I wanted to visit. The college. Supposedly it's very impressive. The locals sure can't shut up about the college. The way it works is that we talk to this guy, who gives us an option to enroll as a student. There are many classes available, and the enrollment costs 1,500 drakes per class. And what it does is provide you with access to a high-level skill trainer. The problem is that most, if not all the professors, teach a combination of social skills, speechcraft, mercantile, sneak thievery. I don't mind spending money and time trying to learn, say, illusion magic, but they don't seem to have a specialist on that. There is a fantastic museum on the second floor, but that's something we'll take a look at later. Kvanf is leaving Firewatch behind to travel south to Helnim. The imperial town of Helnim was part of Tamriel Rebuilt since 2008. Despite being a lot less economically and culturally significant than Firewatch, this place used to be at least 2 times as big. A severe case of megalomaniacal design. And so it was remade in Embers of Empire. This is not the first time Quen visits this place. The town was built near a Telvanni tower that acts essentially as another district of Helnim, with its own inn, merchants, and services. Many years ago, the wizard Lord Darithi signed a contract with the Zafirabel Bay Company, a competitor to the most successful East Empire Company and the second most powerful group in Helnim. The Fighters Guild offers its services to both the Wizard Lord and the Imperial entrepreneurs. But this relationship has complications. Working for a senile and unstable Telvanni might not be compatible with one's long-term well-being. So our first job is convincing a deserter to come back to the guild. And after that, there is a sharp difficulty spike. Travel to a remote location in the wilderness. Find an ancient Daedric ruin. Fight off the creatures guarding it. Find the missing guildmate, who appears to be motionless. A spell, maybe. Deeper in the ruin, there is a dispel scroll, but you'll have to fight fairly capable cultists to get it.
How do you do?
Characters proficient in mysticism will have an easier time with this job.
How do you do?
This quest, and almost all subsequent ones, appear to be brand new. I'm guessing the developers felt the original Fighters Guild questline wasn't sufficiently connected to local narratives.
The lady is gone. Perhaps I can be of service to you.
So, the Mad Lord of Tel Jilin. Hopefully he forgot Qenf. Some of the sorceries he sold to the guild have defects. He is getting old, his hands are starting to shake a bit. Basically, we want our money back. It's a disposition check. Money is not a problem for Master Darithi. He has an alchemical apparatus made out of ebony. That's a flex. The Zafirabel Bay Company hires us to cure a Quama queen in an egg mine in Tel Jilin. Quama are one of the pillars of the Dunmer economy, large insectoid creatures who are kept underground and mined for their eggs. That's Quama for thank you. Glad to see the Archaeological Society is still intact. Not far from here is the ruined Dwemer city of Camel Zay, a place of attraction for academics and adventurers. Rethin Verelnim. Dunmer names are almost impossible to memorize, so don't bother. Rethin Verelnim is a sorcerer hiding out in the Dwemer Tower of Yaztarams. The Mad Lord wants him captured.
Die with honor, coward!
I had to burn through a lot of potions and scrolls to kill this orc bandit, but the rewards were excellent. The classic Qenf look takes me back.
How can I help you?
The guild officer waiting for us by the tower will escort Rethin back to Helnim once we beat the Dunmer into submission. It's possible to play as a sneak assassin or a stealth archer in Morrowind, but you need to be heavily augmenting your abilities with illusion magic.
I can tell.
You Inra.
So the guy we just arrested, now Master Darithi wants us to bust him from the Imperial jail. This is not very hard to do, as there is just one guard and he is not even on the same level where the cells are. But the orders are getting increasingly erratic.
How are you today?
Travel to a remote Dwemer ruin, kill a residing wizard, and recover an old piece of correspondence. It seems the man was Master Darithi's old friend? Did he send us to kill him by accident? You know what? Let's get the hell out of Helnim.
So what do you want?
Andothren. Home. I so very much love the Hlalu architecture. Evokes that homey feeling. You know what's been bugging me? There is an art to assembling an aesthetically coherent look out of random bits of clothing and armor. And you, Heartrage the Hard, somehow you got it just right. Congrats on advancing the science of dress-up. I hope you liked your prize. We've learned that Mora means forest. Tong means guild, so Morag Tong is Forester's Guild. The Assassins. Tamriel Rebuild featured no Morag Tong content prior to the 2022 expansion. Here is their guild hall in Andothran, but only the Grandmaster can accept new members, and there is only one Grandmaster. In order to join the guild, we'll have to backtrack a bit to Vardenfell, to the holy city of Vivec. Finding the Morag Tong HQ below the Arena District is part of the initiation trial, and then comes our first contract, or writ. An honorable writ of execution, it's called. Morag Tong is an ancient traditional Dunmer way of solving disputes between the great houses without resorting to open warfare. It's a formal, legal, and respected profession. Everyone here knows who we are and what we came to do. But there is always an element of uncertainty to these things. There are two armed individuals in the room with our target. How will they react once we start stabbing?
Is the end of you, Swit?
With foul language and nothing else. Since we attacked and killed a man in broad daylight, we incurred a sizable bounty. This is where the writ mechanic comes into play. What we do is perfectly legal, so we present the relevant documents to an ordinator. The bounty is cleared and he goes away. If you kill a target without triggering a bounty, the pay is still the same, but the guild will respect clean work a little more. You'll be progressing through the ranks faster. Let's get to it. Lilara Eris of House Hlalu. The council manor is just around the corner.
I have you.
They know we're coming. I'll have no part in this. She's upstairs, says this woman. Some of the hirelings choose to not interfere. Others resist. Lilara tried to escape. We had to search room by room. The next target is Serali Beralam, another Hlalu retainer. We're like the Anti-Fighters Guild. She's at the apartments. A very straightforward job. This is what most of these are. Jobs. It's not a grand adventure like the Dark Brotherhood questlines in Oblivion or Skyrim. Instead, it's our new routine. The next writ is on Nalvos Omain, from the town of Omainis.
Did I leave that lamp on the desk burning?
The shrine to Saint Aralor, the patron of tanners and miners. This foul criminal repented his sins, and to prove his repentance, he completed a circuit of the great pilgrimages on his knees. Sometimes, if you kill the target before it attacks you back, you can avoid incurring the bounty even if the others saw what happened. I think it's a glitch. Nadras Arvel from Manan. This one is interesting. Arvel tricked the previous assassin sent to execute him and took the writ for himself. We need to recover the document so that the killing is legal.
Good hunting.
Dara the cat is still alive. That's good. Please, dear guest, help yourself to some snacks and drink while you wait. Complimentary biscuit. Effect: damage health. Oh wow, pulling the rope activates a trap. There is no physics engine in Morrowind, so this had to be manually scripted. Better luck next time, assassin. Yeah, you really owned me with that Kwama worm. The bear traps are also new. The reason they feel familiar is because they are in Fallout games, but Morrowind never had anything like this. Nadras wanted to learn as much as possible about the history of the assassins, but this book is on Dark Brotherhood. Tell her you don't understand the difference between Morag Tong and the Dark Brotherhood. Here is the writ we're supposed to recover. Since you were expecting me, you should have probably worn that bone mold. The next two assignments involve adventure in the wilderness. Kill Dransa the Smuggler, hiding in a tomb somewhere in Anthrin, a stunningly beautiful region to the east of Rothrorin. Anthrin was implemented just a few years ago, but it feels like it was always a part of the Elder Scrolls 3. The game is unthinkable without it. The region features some of the most memorable locations, some of the best quests, some of the best Morrowind. Not everything is about house politics. Sometimes we go after common criminals.
Stupid!
Another bounty takes us to the very edge of the implemented space, past the Hlalu town of Idal Run, to a smuggler's cave of Zedan. Our target is someone named Ilmeni, also a smuggler. It's a huge problem in Morrowind. The criminals move Dwemer artifacts and locally produced narcotics, moon sugar, skooma, Dunmer alcohol is often smuggled, and magic scrolls for some reason.
Why are you here?
We are back in the Ridoran town of Bodrum. Kvanf was given a writ with the name Almsea Ramaran, a daughter of a Ridoran noble. Bodrum will stand tall forever, no matter what schemes the Hlalu levy against us. Fall, assassin! Sorry, I don't know anything about this crap, I just work here. This is the hardest fight in the Andothren Morak Tong questline. I had to reload and kill her guards separately. Fighting both of them at the same time was too much. The next target is hiding in the Armun Ashlands, an expansive region to the south of Rothrorin, one we haven't visited before.
May I?
So, this toothpaste stuff.
He's a
What's it
hard
for?
man, all right.
Fixing old teeth?
This cozy little inn sits on the border between the two dominions of dust. What in oblivion? The Ashlands seem endless. This place is at least twice as big as the neighboring region. Mistakenly described as an outpost, Arvod is a fairly developed Hlalu town in Armun Ashlands, an oasis of civilization in the wasteland. 2,000 years ago or so, this was a Ridoran stronghold known as Ald Erfaud. Ald means old. Erfaud is an IRL oasis town in the Sahara Desert. It's an official Bethesda name, and some of these are just weird. Reich Parkeep. Since the space inside the walls is limited, Arvod is very vertical. Buildings with expansive basements, tall Hlalu towers, narrow streets. The alchemist is not at home. Might as well help myself.
Speak, traveler.
A card game in progress in the basement of a local inn. These gentlemen look trustworthy. But our target, Tolmse Indaris, is not in Arvad. Follow the road south and then turn left into a valley, passing a stone monument on your left. That's what the instructions say. It's that sound again. The Velothi Tower is occupied by smugglers. The crates are full of raw gold, expensive but heavy. The Velothi, also known as the Chimmer, were ancient people who traveled from the Somerset Isle to Morrowind, following the prophet Veloth. The Chimmer were Daedra worshippers. They honored Boethia, the God King, Azura of Dusk and Dawn, and Black Hands Mephala, who is our boss, by the way. Morak Tong was founded by Mephala, or so the story goes. One annoying thing about being in AMT is that every few assignments we have to return to the guild HQ in Vivec in order to receive a promotion. The final job also takes place in the Armun Ashlands. Our target is a cultist of Sheogorath of the House of Troubles, the bad Daedra you are not supposed to worship.
I don't have a lot of patience for questions.
Ashlanders, the Dunmer folk living in the wilderness, away from civilization. There are vast cultural differences between the Ashlanders and the main body of the Dunmer.
Need I call the guards?
Why? So they can come and beat you up? The Ishanuran Ashlanders are described as a traditionalist tribe, which doesn't make much sense to me. You can say that about all Ashlanders. The camp is just a pit stop. The target is hiding in a Daedric ruin on the edge of the wasteland. Putting our illusion magic to work. I wouldn't even bother playing an assassin character without invisibility and chameleon spells. We are not the first ones to go after Indaris. There are dead Hlalu guards everywhere. A bone mold gas mask. Looks great with a full set, but it doesn't really fit Kvenf. Sheogorath is the Daedric Prince of Madness. There are a few shrines to him in the Ashlands. One needs to be mad to want to make a life here. That's the end of the Morak Tong questline in Dominions of Dust. Well, not quite the end. There is this part of the dungeon we haven't explored, blocked by a door with a max difficulty lock. Tomb of Narlos Gedron. Not sure who he is. A Hlalu noble perhaps, since this place seems important to them. The treasure is the ring with a not very practical enchantment and an expensive sword. Thanks, Narlos.
I don't know where to begin. It is such an honor to meet you.
The assassin arc is over for now, but the Dunmer in charge of the Fighters Guild in Andothran has a job for Kvenf. We'll be taking our orders directly from Tholar Endens, a councilman of House Hlalu, one of the most powerful people in this part of the world. That's his grand estate. This place is huge, it's almost like a district of the city. They have all kinds of services, including a massage parlor and a very comfy-looking bath. A courier in Sergio Anden's employ was supposed to deliver a package to the estate when he was kidnapped by bandits. One of the bandits came here with a demand for ransom. He was arrested, naturally. We are to interrogate him, learn the location of the courier, and more importantly, of the package he was carrying. The map to Ushu Dimu. The Ashlanders have a different way of naming things, but this doesn't actually translate into anything. A TR dev described it as 4 Akkadian-looking gibberish. The place they are keeping the courier is not far from the Redoran town of Bodrum. We can see the snowy Velothi Mountains in the distance. This was retconned in Skyrim, but the Dwemer, the techno-magical elves who mysteriously vanished a long time ago, they never actually expanded any further than the Velothi Mountains. This was the edge of their domain. The tower is an outpost and a hostel. Every Doran guard offers us a free bed. Here they are, the courier and the kidnapper. You gimme your word that my brother is freed and we're given the money, or I'll push this damned courier right off the bridge, he says. The preservation of any of you was never a concern. The game was, fixed from the beginning. The map is still on the body. Looks like a network of caverns.
Do I know you?
You hired me, Sergio Tholar. The courier was incompetent. I have no patience for incompetence, but I always reward those who get the job done. I have recently acquired ownership of an imperial penal mine, Ushu Kur, in the Armun Ashlands.
Can't you see I wish to be left alone?
Oh hey, it's that Bosmer that trained a cliff racer to steal silver items. He got demoted to guarding a mine in the middle of nowhere. Old Crassus stole food, got caught, they sent him here. Now he's a free man, but he decided to stay cause he doesn't know how to do anything else except mining.
You risk your neck coming here.
Other workers have similar stories. Freer killed a man in anger. The Empire shipped him and the others here and forgot that they ever existed. Now they work for the Hlalu.
May you find all that you seek, traveler.
Our old frenemy Jubal also found employment with the house. I suppose his plan to go directly to the councilman, skipping the Fighters Guild, kind of worked. Oh my god, a functioning elevator, a common feature in the subsequent games, unheard of in Morrowind. Furthermore, note the clever use of glowing mushrooms as natural lamps.
Why do you Outlanders think you can bother anyone you please?
Our first task is taking care of an Ashlander activist, who isn't actually doing much of anything, but he is annoying. This place is an ancient holy site to my people, the Ashanuran, he says. Go to the camp and speak to a wise woman. In a funny twist, turns out the Ashlander is an idiot. The caverns are not sacred, she explains. It's the opposite. They are taboo. The tribesmen should avoid them. That little task really solved itself. Next, a caravaner stole from us, and Sergio Tholar ain't gonna let that slide. The Armun Pass outpost. Beyond the wall is the region known as Othreleth Woods. It's not implemented yet, but this is what it's supposed to look like. Technically, the thieving trader is not a criminal, and he is in public space. If we attack him here, we invoke the wrath of the entire outpost. That's not good. So I have to resort to using one of the most powerful features of Morrowind, the ability to taunt almost any NPC into attacking us first, making it possible to kill them without repercussions. 600 drakes for such a simple job. The Hlalu pay well. The mining operations continue. Deeper in the mine, we discover an Ashlander burial chamber and a bunch of Dunmer mummies. That is good, very good, says the Hlalu official in charge. The iron mining operation was a cover-up. The true prize is the Ashlander burial site and the treasure contained within, the cursed crown of Ushu-Dimu, a lost artifact of the Ishanuran. They guard this treasure with superstitious jealousy. But it's time for the crown to see the sunlight once again, says Tholar Andus. Ushu-Dimu was an Ashkan, a tribal warlord. He was powerful, and yet there is little known about him. And based on what we've heard from the wise woman, I wouldn't describe the Ishanuran attitude as jealousy. Oh hey, he modeled the crown after the mask from Obsidian's cult classic, the only RPG that ever made me cry, and after a romance scene no less. Neverwinter Nights 2, Mask of the Betrayer. Sorry brother, but like we say in the guild, a job's a job. The enchantment makes it unusable, but the item model looks very good. We should leave.
Yes, Outlander.
Tholar paid us 5,000 drakes, a huge amount. He said he'll report our efficiency to the guildmaster so that we are properly recognized. There is one final task. He gives us a letter with orders to shut down the mine. But before we go, I have a feeling we're gonna need the key to Tholar's private vault for something later. Oh yes, 3 blessings, Sergio Ushu-Dimu. I assume you want the crown back. The miners, including our buddy Jubal Orda, lie on the ground paralyzed, a side effect of the mummy waking up. It takes literal seconds to go from the mine to the manor and back, thanks to teleportation magic. Tholar is no longer in his office. The secret underground vault where Tholar keeps his ill-gotten gains. Let's take a look around. Jugs of Punavit, a drink used in Endorial rituals, a tightly controlled, possibly illegal substance. Adamantium ore, weight 50. Okay. Namira's Shroud, an artifact with unknown properties and insane value. I don't know, it just looks stupid. I'll put it back. Some sort of ancient native ebony armor. Endorial Bellhammer, used in rituals. Theoretically, you can travel to other planes of oblivion with this, but I could never decipher the magic. Sarah Sathasa Endus of Endoran. My lily, my flame. We put a lily inside the bowl and set it on fire. A vault inside a vault. I have no patience for incompetence. The reason Tholar was looking for the mask is because of its rumored power to undo death. His wife died years ago. He built this chamber to preserve the body until a solution could be found. Is undoing death impossible? That's just a platitude that the commoners tell themselves to feel better about their miserable lives. Nothing is impossible. I just haven't found the right way. He lets us take the mask. And you know what? I'll take the ebony pants too. I deserve it. Here is your stupid crown. Oh, god damn it, he brought back the Hlalu and Jubal.
Can't you see I wish to be left alone?
Having too many friends is not a problem you have, Bosmer. Andothren, City of Coin, City of Passion, City of Cool Headwear, City of Water Aerobics, with a sizable market for genital enlargement alchemy. That's not the whole story, of course. There is a Hlalu quest chain we haven't explored, and a Mages Guild quest line, and a vampire chain that begins in Old Ebonheart and that continues in the Ashlands. Depending on when you are watching this, there might also be a Thieves Guild storyline. It was supposed to be patched in at a later date.
Var, var, var.
We've earned the respect of Brass Claws Miranzij, who happens to be a high-level skill trainer. This is why I do what I do. Another reason is your support on Patreon. Let's do patron credits and then the final takes. Special thank you to Exalted Foresters, Jim Lawrence, Ganso Bomb a Motherfucker, Mario Perez, a 2-room apartment in Bobruisk, Belarus, Azazel and Baneful the Doggo, Ray Ners, Nathan Kabiska, Source is the best engine ever made, 1967 Ford Mustang, Danny Kilpatrick, Jason Phillips, Dima Urban, Chungolian, C6, Combat Lobster, Coco Smith, Snafu, Buck Swope, Yuri Solodovnichenko, Ilya Rubin, and Dawn. Let's head back to Firewatch and go see the exhibit on the second floor of the college. One of the 2 immense anchors carried out by the Tem Crimson Storm, flagship of the Emperor during the final stages of the invasion of Akavir. The loss of the flagship and a large portion of the fleet was one of the principal factors leading to the faltering of supply lines between Tamriel and the legions wintering in Akavir. R.I.P. Kamal Bone Fragment. A long time ago, Akaviri forces led by Adasum Dir Kamal invaded Tamriel. After sacking Wildhelm, the army crossed the Velothi Mountains into Morrowind. The temple histories claim that the god King Vivek stopped the invaders by flooding the entire country. The museum note makes it clear that this interpretation of events seems implausible and was not verified by the imperial archaeologists. Dark Elven legend further holds that the goddess Queen Elmalexia defeated the Akaviri armies by piercing the hole through the earth at Belfoyen. The waters receded and the invaders were essentially flushed into the unknown realms below. Adasum, described as a behemoth, fought the tribunes and was destroyed. The exact location of the corpse is a closely guarded secret of the tribunal temple, but academics note that the bone fragment on display is real. A sword from Kathnoki, which is an archipelago located between Tamriel and Akavir. Both parts of the Museum Key exhibit were generously donated by the Kathnoki mission at Amber Keep. Huh. So, where is it? Let's go find every secret in the keep, except for the Kathnoki mission.
Make it quick.
Oh, wow, I'm so sorry, guy. Telvanni Embassy, not what we're looking for.
Friend.
Emissary of the King of Black Marsh. Representatives of the Zafarbel Bay Company. Private chambers of the Duchess. The Royal Consort. Yes, I think this is it.
If you insist.
The voices seem to be manipulated vanilla lines. The armor is new. The lady tells us about their people. Essentially, the key come in 2 varieties, human and elf, Kaptu-Ki and Chimeri-Ki.
What do you need, Sarah?
Well, this should be interesting.
It is. So these guys are like an offshoot of the Chimmer that were never cursed, never underwent Dunmerization. They have roughly the same skin color and the overall shape as Elmalexia, and even the similar-looking face markings. This is a sneak peek into the Padomake Isles project. Glad to see it progressing. Oh, what the hell. One more adventure before wrapping this up. To the only new region we haven't visited yet. Once again, I am culturally shocked to see these trees on the mainland. New creatures. This is a frost troll. Looks like it was inspired by the Skyrim design. And these are kobolds. We fought them before, years ago, in the Reach. The nearby cave is a kobold lair filled with half-eaten adventurers. The monsters have a buggy death animation. They just sort of float when killed, like in that Vatnik RPG, Marauder. Next to a Daedric ruin, we discover a small Ridoran hamlet.
At your service, Outlander.
There is quite a bit of content in the mountains. Impressive. From here, we can observe all 3 distinct biomes implemented in Dominions of Dust. Rothrorin, the Ashlands, and the wintry Velothi Mountains. This must be the most desolate place in Morrowind, but even here there are roads and paths. A Dunmer ancestral tomb. Inside, a glass spear, an expensive piece of gear. Goblins were introduced in the official Tribunal expansion, where they were aggressively level scaled. The TR goblins appear to be mid-tier enemies. They are no longer more powerful than immortal beings from other dimensions. These goblin fights are a rare instance of Morrowind NPCs using synergetic tactics. The shaman is keeping us paralyzed and is slowly degrading our ability to see via a blind spell, while the grunt is dealing damage, or trying to. A Daedric ruin frozen in ice. The Nord cultist has a strange combination of bone mold, iron, and Nordic ringmail pieces. The latter appear to be new to the mod. This is a Frost Atronak, fairly ordinary for a Daedra. And this guy is his dad, I think. Ishil Mahon. He guarded the Shrine of Sheogorath and the Sword in Stone, Shard of Borealis. Cool and powerful. I don't like using lawn blades because the animations look stupid. Not far from the ruin, we stumble upon a cave occupied by a loner pilgrim. Not sure if there are places of religious significance in the mountains, except for the shrine. One of the bigger dwarven cities in the game, separated in western and eastern halves, populated by Dwemer creations, which is not surprising, but I sort of half expected to see goblins. The OpenMW engine I'm using to play Morrowind makes the Dwemer ghosts a little hard to see. I don't think it's a flaw, just something that caught me off guard. The lowest level of the dungeon is called Mon Dark's Workroom. Melchior Dark is a prolific mod maker, responsible for many projects, mostly focused on improving various aspects of the original Bethesda-made content on Vardenfell. The prize for exploring the ruin is Master Forger's Mail, a piece of Dwemer armor with powerful enchantments. That'll do for now. But we'll be seeing Kvenf again, possibly in Cyrodiil when Project Tamriel is updated. We'll be extending our ancient practice to the city of Anvil, previously featured in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Based on what I've seen, the Morrowind version should be phenomenal.